Levon Cade is a former Royal Marine commando, now living in his car and working as a well-respected lead on a construction site owned by the Garcia family. Dad, Joe, Mom Carla, and their daughter Jenny. One day, Cade notices some gangsters roughing up a close worker and attacks the men, displaying refined skills. More men turn up with guns, so Cade pulls out a shotgun, warning them to never show their faces again. Later, Jenny comes to bring him lunch. She is astonished at his skills and wants him to teach her, recalling how her grandfather was a paratrooper and taught her a few things. But Cade tells her she never saw anything. He goes to pick up his daughter Meredith from her wealthy grandfather, Dr. Roth, with whom he has a strained relationship. Ruth knows of his military background and notes that he is an unsafe parent and a killer, and will never be around for Meredith like he wasn't around for his daughter. This pisses Cade off, but he just leaves without saying much. In the car, Meredith reveals she never ate anything at Grandpa's, as she wanted to have lunch with Cade, and this makes up for the earlier disrespect. At lunch, Cade gives her a photo of herself and her mother, of which she is very pleased as she sometimes forgets what her mother looks like. She confesses that she is mad at her mother for dying and leaving them, but Cade tells her that's okay as he once felt that way. The next day, he goes to see his lawyers as he is in a custody battle with Roth over Meredith. Things are not looking good for Cade as his injuries and PTSD during deployment make his case more difficult. To make things worse, his visitation now needs to be supervised and the time cut to 1 hour per week. The lawyers wonder why Dr. Ruth hates him so much, and Cade reveals that he is being blamed for killing his daughter. He was not personally involved, but was always away on deployment, and she lost her fight with depression. The lawyers note that Dr. Roth's wealth allows him to hire powerful lawyers, and Cade has no chance of winning, but he is determined to fight the case anyway, and soon gets himself an old rundown apartment. That night, Jenny and her friends head out into town to a club to drink and have fun, while some men are keeping an eye on them from a distance. After clubbing, the girls head to a bar. The bartender, seemingly interested in her, asks her name, but he then alerts some men waiting in a van outside. Jenny helps a drunk friend to a restroom and is heading back when she is grabbed and dragged to the waiting area. Cade returns to work on Monday only to learn that Jenny has been missing for the entire weekend. The cops won't do much to help the family, so they turn to Cade, asking him to track Jenny down. Joe knows Cade is military and asks him to use his skills, even offering him up to $70,000, but Cade refuses as it's just not who he is anymore. Cade then visits his now blind war buddy Gunny Lefferty, looking for counsel on what path he is to take. Gunny tells him if he plans to save Jenny, he has to go all in, but can already see that Cade has made up his mind and is just looking for permission to act. Cade then visits the Garcias and is directed to Jenny's room where Joe is downing a bottle of alcohol and watching a video of Jenny's piano recital. Cade thinks his family needs all the support they can get, but he is unable to face them. Cade knows Joe is a good man, as he was the only one to help him after leaving the military, and he can't bear to see him like this. Cade takes his bottle of alcohol and promises that he will bring Jenny home. Cade begins to track Jenny down, and his investigations soon lead him to the bar where she was last seen. Inside, he notices the bartender Johnny doing some deals with the patrons. He goes out back where he notices the cut security cameras and finds a single pearl from Jenny's necklace. Later, Johnny closes the bar and heads to his car. Unaware, Cade has planted a tracking device and follows him all the way back to his apartment. While he is inside getting high, Cade breaks in, holding Johnny at gunpoint before he can reach for his own. Cade sits him down, showing Jenny's photo and demanding her location as he suspects Johnny knows the men who took her. But Johnny swears Jenny left the bar drunk and he told the cops everything. Cade doesn't believe a word and begins to torture Johnny in the bathtub by waterboarding him. Johnny warns him that he has no clue who he is messing with, but Cade just wants names. Just then, two guys enter the apartment calling for Johnny, who yells out to them. He holds Johnny at gunpoint but ends up killing the men when they open fire on Johnny. He then realizes the two men are from the Russian Mafia, steals some of their cash, and leaves. We then see Jenny being held in an unknown location, seemingly losing her mind due to the trauma. Cade stays posted outside Johnny's apartment when he notices a car pull up. Two gangsters in colorful clothes arrive along with their uncle, Wolo Lolisnik, a high-ranking member of the Bratva, the Russian Mafia. The men enter the apartment and deduce that someone killed his men and stole 90 grand of the Mafia's money, and Wolo swears to find out who. Soon a team of cleaners also shows up to the apartment, and Cade is taking note of the timeline of events. After a while, Wolo and his goons leave the apartment and Cade follows them in his truck, all the way back to Wolo's mansion. Cade parks a distance off and sets up his gear in nearby bushes to surveil the property. Inside, Wolo is stressed from the earlier events and ends up smacking a woman inside, who pulls a knife, but she storms out and leaves in her car. With this, Cade breaks into the mansion, attacks Wolo with hot coffee and knocks him out. Wolo comes awake, gagged and bound to a chair next to his pool. He tries to intimidate Cade, warning that he has no idea who he is, but Cade knows he is with the Bratva and does not care. Wolo threatens Cade's family, but Cade slaps him as revenge for slapping the woman and gives him another one when he learns the woman was his wife. Cade returns his 90 grand, revealing he is not after Wolo's business, but wants to know where Jenny is located, showing him a photo. Wolo cannot believe he did all this for just a girl and tells Cade to F off, so Cade lets him fall into the pool still bound and watches him drown. Cade recalls Wolo mentioning someone named Dimi and plans to find the man. A while later, one of the Bratva's bosses, Simon Karchenko, arrives at Wolo's home. He sees the tapes of Cade killing Wolo and wonders what his motives are. Wolo was a good businessman, but his son Dimi is a troublemaker, and he suspects Dimi is involved. He then orders his men to track Cade down and bring him in alive. Jenny is brought food by one of her captors, who turns out to be a female. Jenny tries to tell her they have the wrong person, but the masked woman pulls a golden gun, warning Jenny to be quiet and just eat her food. Cade reaches out to a contact in the DEA to get information on Dimi, who is possibly involved in human trafficking, and learns he is the son of Wolo. The DEA agent gives Cade the location of a bar where Dimi usually hangs out, but warns him to be careful. Cade rides to the spot, which turns out to be a biker bar, and heads to the bar to get himself a drink. Meanwhile, the woman reviewing the bar's security cameras, Artemis, notices Cade and the gun he is carrying and suspects he is a cop, so she sends a man, Dougie, to handle it. Dougie approaches Cade at the bar, who flashes a stack of cash to him, so he leads Cade to another part of the club to speak with his boss, Dutch. Cade claims he is here to buy product, but Dutch learns he might be a cop and demands that he empty his pockets. Cade refuses to, so Dutch signals to his men to surround Cade and jump him. But they end up getting a reverse jumping and Cade brutally beats down all the men coming after him. He takes down the last man and is about to finish him off when Dutch finally stops him. Dutch can see he is no cop, but from his skills, he must have served, noting he did his fair share of military service too. Cade sets up a deal to purchase drugs from him, so Dutch gives him a time and place to meet up. The next day, Cade arrives at a diner where Dougie and Artemis are waiting to conduct the deal. Cade takes a seat and Artemis pulls a golden gun under the table, revealing she is Jenny's captor. Cade hands over the cash, but Dougie hands him a cell phone as they don't trust him. Cade then warns Dougie not to end up a victim, and thanks Artemis for not shooting him before leaving. He is driving when he gets a call from Dutch, who reveals the package was under his seat the entire time, but as he passes a bridge, he tosses the drugs into the river. Viper and Artemis bring a drugged-out Jenny to a client who has paid a large sum of cash to have his way with her, noting she reminds him of a painting. A few minutes later, the client bursts out with a huge wound on his face as Jenny has bitten him, and he demands her to be killed. Meanwhile, Cade checks in with Dutch, telling him his people liked his product. Dutch wants to do more business with him, but wants Cade to meet his business partner first before they proceed. Cade gets himself a suit and arrives at the meat location where heavily armed gangsters are keeping watch. He gets to a table where Dutch is with his business partner, who turns out to be Demi. Cade stares him down but controls himself even as Demi runs his ID to ensure he is no cop. The two then shake hands and Demi hands him the product before he leaves. In the bathroom, Cade dumps all the drugs in the toilet. The following night, Cade is sitting in his truck outside the biker bar surveying the building, but Artemis spots him on the cameras and alerts the gangsters to his location. Cade notices the cars speeding towards him, so he jumps out, steals a motorcycle, and speeds off. The men catch up with Cade and open gunfire. He manages to stay ahead of the men. They try cutting him off, but he cuts through the bushes, eventually crashing into a police car. The chasing men catch up, but it turns out the cops are working with the gangsters, and Cade is knocked out by a cop and handed over to the two sweatsuit gangsters. Inside the van, the two gangsters reveal that Wolo was their uncle, and they are actually Simon Karchenko's sons. They try to bind Cade's feet, but he attacks the men, resulting in a struggle over the gun. Though bound, he manages to overpower the two, but in the resulting struggle, the driver is shot, and the van crashes. Cade swiftly kills the brothers, frees himself, and escapes the van before it slips into a river. Simon says a tearful goodbye to his sons in the morgue, then demands that the war council be gathered. Viper and Artemis visit Demi, who is pissed that Jenny attacked his client. He threatens to remove one of Artemis's fingers for their bad business, but instead orders the two to kill Jenny and dump her. Simon meets with the Bratva War Council, informing them of his son's deaths and the actions he plans to take. Demi is at his club when Simon's man opens fire, shutting the party down and leaving Demi whimpering in a corner. Simon tells him about his son's deaths, and Demi swears he has no idea who the man is, until he is shown a video capture of Cade and recalls he was the same man he met with earlier. He shows Simon a photo of Cade's fake ID, and Simon warns that Cade is hunting him before leaving with his men. We then see the men are able to pull Cade's real identity and soon track down Dr. Roth to his home. Cade gets a call that no one showed to pick up Meredith, so he heads over to pick her up, and she jokingly wonders if he finally took Grandpa. He explains that some bad men are after him, and the people close to him, and asks her to track Roth's location on her cell. They realize that Dr. Roth has not left home, so Cade races over there only to see the house engulfed in flames. He still bursts into the burning house, where he sees Roth bound and left to die, and helps him out of the house. Despite this, Dr. Ruth blames him for bringing the Russian Mafia to their doorstep, telling him that violence follows him everywhere. But Meredith reminds him that Cade could have left him behind. Cade tells Roth to stay at the hospital where he will be safe, and he plans to take Meredith to stay with Gunny for a while. Gunny wonders if he really can find Jenny, but Cade plans to find her and bring her home, and thinks Demi is the key. Gunny hopes he is ready to kill his way out like he did, to get in, and shows Cade a room filled with weapons. Cade brings the bags filled with weapons back to his car, and Meredith wants to come with him. She doesn't want him to get into trouble, but Cade promises that he will return for her, and the two hug and say goodbye. Artemis and Viper are transporting Jenny, who starts to say the Lord's Prayer. Artemis mocks her, but Jenny was just seeking strength to launch her attack, causing the car to crash. She escapes the car and takes off running, with Artemis and Viper not too far behind her. Jenny manages to free her arms, then take off sprinting, leaving Artemis and Viper frustrated and worried what will happen next. Jenny runs into the only two cops who seem to be working around. The cops help her into the car, but they just drive her right back to Artemis and Viper. They have her at gunpoint when the client from earlier calls, having changed his mind and wants a second chance with her. Just as dirty as she is, Demi is getting high off his own supply, when Cade breaks in and begins to silently take out the gangsters, who are alerted when an explosion happens. But Cade kills them all skillfully. He comes upon Demi, who is holding some random woman at gunpoint, offering to make Cade a deal, but Cade expertly shoots him in his hand, disarming him. He shows Demi a photo of Jenny, demanding her location, but Demi denies knowing her. He wonders why Cade is doing all this for some woman, and offers to exchange Jenny for his life. Demi leads them to a mansion deep in the woods, where, inside, many wealthy people, including the client, are gambling. Cade wonders why Jenny and Demi explains that their recruiter Viper scopes bars and takes photos of beautiful girls, which are then sent to clients who pick out the girls they want kidnapped. He claims it's just business, but Cade reminds him these are human lives they're messing with. He wonders why Cade is so passionate about this, but Cade learns he doesn't have a daughter, so he wouldn't understand, and proceeds to shoot him dead. Cade then gears up and heads out. He kills one lookout in a tree before heading on further, where he kills another two men outside. Inside, Jenny is tied up in a room, and the client is alerted that she is ready for him. He soon comes face to face with Jenny again, who wonders what she did to deserve this, but the client simply tells her nothing and picks up a blade. Cade uses a grenade to blast his way into the hall, then an intense gunfight kicks off. He starts dropping men left and right. Meanwhile, outside, Dutch and his biker gang pull up. One biker bursts through the window, but Cade eventually shoots him off his bike. Inside the room, Viper is holding his gun to the door, reassuring the client that all will be well. Outside, Cade is attacked by Dougie, who uses him as a human shield against Dutch with a shotgun, but ends up getting tossed around. They both pull blades, but in an instant, Cade slices him up and kills him. Cade and his rifle go looking for Jenny. He shoots the client dead, allowing Jenny to attack Artemis while he beats Viper down, smashing his head all over the place before breaking his neck. Jenny gets Artemis in a leg lock around her neck, eventually managing to break it. Simon's two hitmen soon arrive but see no sign of Cade inside. The cop's car soon arrives, but despite being on the same side, the men rip the car to shreds. Cade breaks Jenny free and tells her to stay close to him. They encounter the hitmen, who open rapid fire on their position, but Cade manages to shoot one of the men skillfully before blowing the other up with a grenade as he is reloading. Cade and Jenny then leave and ride away on a bike, not seeing Simon standing in the shadows. He calls his brother, informing him of their escape, but his brother warns him to let Cade go. Simon finds it hard to overlook the deaths of his sons, but his brother tells him no, one will come to his aid, and the Brotherhood comes first, leaving Simon furious. Cade returns Jenny to her family, who are all gathered, and they are all shocked and happy to see her. He then heads over to Gunny's, where Jenny is happy seeing her. Gunny is pleased hearing that he got the girl and he wasn't killed, and Cade tells him they really tried their best before settling in for dinner.